Okay, are we ready?
Yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inside the Broken Family. We are really happy to have you join us tonight. This is where, as a family, and when we're lucky enough to have guests come and join us, we share poems, just thoughts, stories, whatever we want to share. We share with each other and then we talk about it. I think tonight, because I feel like everybody might be a little tired, I think we're just going to kind of get started. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to read since I'm sitting here. And then we'll go to Papa. And then we'll go next to Annalie, then Jeff, then Peyton.
You're gonna have to tell us.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. We won't go over that. Jeffrey, you'll be last.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. So this is what's been on my mind this week. Does it matter that the camera went off? Does it always?
Fine.
Oh,
It
okay.
always goes off. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. How do I change my story? When we bought this house 7 years ago, I truly thought we were starting a new journey. Jeff and I were so excited to have some land. It had been a dream of ours. Excuse me. A new start at getting to know people at church. I was ready to get involved in activities so I would feel a part of things. I felt I needed a new attitude about certain things going on in my life. I also thought a change might help me. If there was anything wrong in the home, I made sure I felt every bit of pain, and I would take on that 100%. The guilt I would take on was like glue that seeped into every pore. As years have gone by, I have continued to carry a backpack of guilt, proudly. I have done things to release small amounts of guilt from that backpack. If I ever thought I could work on something to remove the backpack, I would turn around, I would turn a corner, get smacked in the face, that backpack would fly on, and a new story would begin. With my family, I think I thought I had some kind of control or maybe power with making things better. This last year, I had to start to change my story, to let go of pain, start to lose weight, change my thoughts. It seemed like without even noticing that backpack became heavier again. I somehow thought if I just listen or have a conversation with my kids, everything somehow would just get better with the brokenness in our family. What if what I learned is everyone has a story that is different than mine. To me, that is what seems to be causing the hurt and misinformation that has developed within everyone's differences. My story is I'm discounted with everyone as a mom because I'm old. They think I'm crazy because I might want things more like a Hallmark movie. I feel like I'm usually wrong because of the opinions my children have about me. What am I good for anymore? What should I do? Be careful not to say anything wrong. I have truly not been seen by my children or my husband for years. I still have the right to care about my kids and their families, and I'm allowed to worry sometimes. I'm allowed to speak up. I have an opinion. I hope one day all our stories will be able to change. Maybe all of us have made mistakes. I thought as a mom I could keep my kids safe if I did the right thing or I loved them enough. That was a total lie because it didn't work. I have no control over anyone except me. What can I do to accept the hurt, sadness, love, laughter, and amazing things that lie ahead? I will listen and I will ask questions. I will try to learn how someone is really how someone is really doing. I will love greater, understand differently than I have. I will love myself and let go of the things I cannot change. I will let go of the fear, then be okay to greet it when I need to and release it when it does no good. I will learn to be proud of who I am and who I will become.
So you said there was a part where you talked about people, like your hope is that everybody can change their own story. Do you really truly believe that you hope everybody changes their own story?
What I was meaning by that, I don't think that we can't heal or start something new unless we all start to change our stories. I mean,
I don't understand.
Well, I mean, maybe people aren't like me and they don't have a story. They haven't created a story, but I feel like
everybody creates stories.
Right. So I'm just saying that in my thoughts is like what's happening now in our family with the connection of our family. There are stories created that we're not connecting well. You know what I mean? Like we're not meshing with some of the family, and I hope that eventually maybe stories change enough that communication starts and maybe different stories begin.
You also said, at least I thought I heard you say that everybody having a different story is the problem.
Yes. I believe that what I meant by that is I feel like that's causing the hurt and the misinformation because someone has a story about me, what they think has gone on, and somebody else has a different story of Peyton or Jeff or Annalie or Jeffrey or Dad, and they think there's some kind of connection that we all have that's different than theirs, or they think that somehow something's different than they see, which isn't true.
So is it people having stories that's the problem, or is it people unwilling to accept that other people have different stories that's the problem?
I'm not sure because I don't know quite. This is just, my realization of before understanding that what was so surprising to me is I thought in our family that different things that happen that people see them the same way, right?
Yeah.
But they don't. We all seem to remember things differently, or some of us might have things sort of the same, but some things are very different. So I've learned that we all seem to have different stories.
Yeah.
And I think that's very evident in things that have gone on, that there really is stories we create that maybe someone isn't thinking, but we think they're thinking because we just assume it, right? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does.
I like the imagery that you painted with the carrying the backpack of burden, and how sometimes we feel like that burden, we just forget about it or we ignore it, and then we turn the corner of life and it slaps us right in the face. It always reminds us that it's there until we somehow let go of it.
Yeah, but I've always said this, that I always kind of liked when things were quiet because it made me think everything was okay.
The story in your mind was
Yeah.
everything is okay.
It was quiet. Everything's okay.
That is really funny.
It just was peace for a
Yeah.
moment. I didn't have to worry for a moment. But that was so dumb because really everything was...
That's a good example of how sometimes as humans we will take our story, it's quiet so everything's okay, and we'll put it on to everyone else. My story is everyone else's truth.
Yeah.
And I think, as we're talking about this, that's one of the things that gets in the way of having real relationships. It's an unwillingness to make room for other people's stories.
I think that what I've learned is it's actually, for me, it's a part where we just are hearing each other. We are really.
I think that is what Jeff was kind of saying in a way.
Yeah, making room for
Making
hearing,
room for
understanding.
hearing.
And sometimes that's literally just being able to step back for a moment. Is all.
But I also think it may. If a family wants to do that, they have to make room for different stories to be true.
Yeah, for everything to exist.
Right. To hold on to the outcome that we can sit down, understand each other, and then suddenly everything's going to be copacetic is it's a box that you try to put people in.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I felt like I had some control or some kind of power, something special that I could do that, I just need to talk to the kids and then everything will be okay.
Which that control, in your mind, was that a good thing?
No, I mean, I'm just saying that it's
I'm
not that
asking you
it's
just
not that
a straight question.
It's not that I necessarily felt like I think as a mom, sometimes you think, oh, if we just have a little conversation with our family, that everything will kind of coexist again.
Maybe reconnect.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and that, in at least my experience growing up, that was kind of how you and Dad approach things. We'll have a conversation, and then nothing.
Right. We have a really.
Like, conversation, fix it all. We don't need to address it. We don't need to think about it again. We're good.
Well, yeah, you just brush it under the rug.
Well, like in your mind, it might have been
It
might have been
quiet.
gone from your mind too.
No,
It might
it's
have been
quiet.
So
Nah.
peace.
But
Oh no. Things, if you listen to my story, I carried that backpack really well. Anything that went wrong,
Didn't you?
I took on like a dart.
Maybe like the imagery that came to my mind was you in those quiet moments. Like, okay, everything's quiet. Let me just take everybody's little thing that they have going on and put it in my backpack.
Oh no, because if something was going on, it was all my fault. No matter what it was. It had nothing to do with me, and yet I happily, as the mother, sucked on all the burdens. All the
Why do you
guilt.
think you would do that?
I don't know. I think I learned to do that. I had to learn to do that when I was young.
You think it's just a learned behavior
Absolutely. I had to have.
from who?
But I also think I thought joining the church that I was going to somehow create this perfect existence because I wanted a church, I was excited about going to church every Sunday and thought that would make this life that I didn't have. I would create this space that my kids would grow up and be this amazing thing, which I still think everyone's amazing. I just...
Yeah, every time you say that, I really question
I
what
start
you're,
to doubt.
what you're saying.
I still think...
Oh, wow.
I
My own mother thinks I'm a failure.
Well, that's
I don't
the
think
funny
that's
thing.
what mom is.
I don't
No,
mean that.
100%.
I don't mean
I'm
that,
just
but
messing
I've always said,
Because-
like, I would stand up and give a lesson in relief study, and I said, my family is far from perfect, but I love my kids. I think they're great, and I just always thought that. I always felt that. And I just never thought anything different. And maybe that was, I don't know.
Well, it's unrealistic, is what it is.
I guess I looked at it.
I don't know if it's unrealistic to feel that your family are good human beings.
Yeah, because
Is it bad? Is it
really
bad to
wasn't.
strive for ideals?
Maybe.
No, that overall, we as individuals in a family strive to be kind and look for opportunities to help other human beings and to do good things. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, to say there's
picture.
nothing wrong with it is probably a little bit dishonest. 'Cause
Yeah,
nothing is perfect, right?
It's
No,
taking-
it has nothing to do with perfection.
Well, if
No,
nothing's
it's
wrong,
just-
then it is.
Nothing.
It's no.
it has
I
nothing to do
never
with
thought any of
perfection.
you were perfect. I knew
No.
my children were perfect. I just thought you were great because you were mine and dad's. That's just the way I looked at it.
Well,
That's where you misstep right there.
not even that they were our
No,
children.
but they were
Just
kids.
that they're good human beings.
That's where there's a psychologist, a parenting psychologist that I really, really like. Her name's Becky Kennedy.
I should have told them they were all bad.
And that would have been swinging the other way.
Okay.
And she has a book that's written, and it's called Good Inside. And her whole philosophy is based on what you're saying, that kids are good inside.
Yeah.
And I vehemently, and I use that word purposely, disagree with that. Because people aren't one thing or another.
I agree with
From
that.
my perspective, people are potential.
Yes.
And
Well,
potential's neutral.
yeah, but why couldn't we have had the potential of having you guys be great?
What? Mom, what? Listen to my words. And I think that's an important distinction.
Okay.
Because, for me at least, it's realistic.
I agree with the neutrality of humankind, that they blossom and grow from birth, but they have the potential to learn to be in a place of kindness and care and whatever moral value path that I don't know how I'm trying to say
Well,
this.
here's an
I think
important
you're
thing.
getting somewhere.
I'm trying. to
Here's an
get there.
important thing to think about. When a parent, I'll use you and me as an example. When you always approach me this way, you've been super consistent. When you say something like, "I know you're good," what happens to a child is, I know what my dad wants me to be, and if I'm something else, I can't approach him, I can't tell him, I can't be in his world because I'm not what he says I am.
That would be hard to live in. As a kid, but
But I think a lot of kids live there. I think a lot of people grow
Well,
up there. I think
I
most
think
of us, but
I know
it
I'm
gets
not alone.
lost in what you're saying, which is I was just striving for ideals.
Right. And it's not malicious.
And that's
in
not
any way.
malicious. There's
no,
nothing bad
and
with that.
I think in no way did Dad and I try to. We never tried to be that way in any way. I think that I just wanted to be there as a parent differently than my parents were there.
Yeah.
My parents were a bit absentee. Now, for maybe Payne and Sam, maybe they think me and you are absentee because there's so much always going on and so many people in the house. You know,
Well, were you?
I don't feel like I was, but I feel like I feel guilt. That's a guilty thing because I feel like there was always so much going on. I mean, the Red House, we did have like almost 3 years of, I felt like, kind
I mean, like, if your
of
perception.
like peace in the Red House because it was
Peace in the Red House.
because it was
It
Payne.
was all good there.
It was Payne and Sam and Soph, and it just felt
It was
like.
quiet.
It
Well,
was
no,
quiet.
but we didn't
Except
have.
for Sophie's night terrors.
Yes.
And the freaky intruder.
Oh.
You guys
Yes, we
had.
did have an intruder.
It was so quiet. all the time.
But until we let those crazy people live with us, it was great.
yeah.
Yeah, Payne agrees. He's like,
I just played Fortnite
You
all
did
the
play
time.
Fortnite and told me you had no dreams.
She remembers that.
No, I knew we had lots of dreams.
Oh.
did you know it?
I knew it because you just couldn't. You were just such a bright.
The other thing I think it's really important to point out is you had a whole list of sort of mantras.
I probably.
I will, right? And they were positive. And a lot of people.
I read a book. is
No,
why.
and it's fine.
Stop spanking.
I don't know.
Yelling.
I don't know.
Stop yelling.
You're not even
spanking.
listening to me.
I am.
And no, you're not, because you're having a conversation with yourself.
Always.
You're not even listening to my words.
Go.
When people, I think there's a lot of expectations out there that there's some sort of magic that will empty my backpack and keep it permanently empty. And I wish our society could understand that if you want an empty backpack, you have to wake up every day You have to examine your backpack, and you have to be willing to see the same damn rocks in there every single day. They don't go anywhere.
Right.
There's no magic. You have to choose how to respond to those every single day. And you have to do it over and over and over again. And I think people believe that if I just do this thing, or I say this thing, or I make this choice, I will be light as a feather for the rest of my existence.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a lie.
Did you hear what I wrote at the very end?
I wasn't saying that towards you.
No, I know.
Your mantras made me think about that idea.
Right. But, see, I will let go of the things I cannot change. Because that's important, right? If we hold on to
I think it's
everything,
important. Yeah.
everything that's hurt us or hurt our children, families, whatever it is, all it does is hurt us. Not the people who did it, nothing else. So you have to let go of those things. All the things we can't change. Whatever it is. Whether it's a religion, whether it's people, whatever it is, right? We have to let it go. And then this one, with my fear, I actually liked how I said this, and maybe I said it wrong.
Well, I think this is what I was going to
Anyway.
say before you continue on with this. I think you often interpret Jeff as he's telling you what you need to do.
Yes, I said it here. I did.
I don't think Jeff is ever telling you what you need to do. He's more just saying what he believes is happening.
And I'm really just trying to think through ideas.
Yeah.
Right.
That's all.
Right.
With
But-
the
go
with the mantras that you wrote, I think writing them down, that act of putting pen to paper and writing them down is more powerful than just saying them.
Right. Well, and that's why I did it. I mean, because, right, my story was different at the beginning than it became to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's what I've been thinking a lot about is, you know, it was almost shocking to me, really, to be honest, to learn that my kids, everyone, and spouses too, everybody has such a different story. And same with Dad and I. We all have such different stories. And I don't think I
But
truly...
we're all individuals.
Yes, but I don't think I really realized, like, how different everyone really
I
is.
think it's a really important realization. It means a part of you has gone through this existence believing the world sees the world like I see the world.
Yeah.
Which is so dangerous.
So dangerous.
Well, meaning, yeah, like, if you're kind, you're kind. You know, be a good
Who
person.
wouldn't want to be kind?
Right, but why wouldn't you be a good person?
Well, that's a good person defined by you. But
Right, but what I'm saying is...
Right, that's the point, though.
Yeah, but
Is-
that's
it-
the
it-
thing.
yeah.
If I...
lens of-
Right.
exactly.
If I'm a friend to somebody, they're a friend back, right? No, they're not.
No.
People don't look at it the same way you do. When I was a friend, I gave everything to that person.
Yeah.
We cooked them dinners. We invited
And
them over.
that's the reason it's so important. I believe everybody can disagree, and that's okay. To see people as potential, because the second you see people as potential, you have to see the whole spectrum, and that means the possibility of evil and destruction exists with every person.
Oh, and I definitely didn't see that. I saw rainbows and lollipops. And
Yeah, you saw
chocolate.
one side of the spectrum that was your
Absolutely.
world. Your
And
lens.
did that help you or hurt you, or how would you say what did that do?
Well, it destroyed my ever-living soul.
Wow.
So,
Hey, what now?
You put that a
Say
little more in stronger
it,
terms, please.
I mean, let's just discuss it. No, I mean, you know, we had with a couple of kids we let into our home, and part of our family, you know, one was terrific and was honest, and another one lied terribly and
Well, and
hid secrets.
even that
But I would
is
not
a
have. I-
blanket
But what I'm saying is,
generalization, right?
but what
One
I'm,
wasn't completely terrific and honest.
no, I know.
One wasn't completely that way.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is, one turned out to be a nice young man. I mean, you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah,
he's an
yeah,
okay
yeah.
human being.
As far
He's
as
a
we
good-
know.
I think what you're saying is one turned out, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. One turned out not to hurt my family,
Right.
and one turned out to hurt my family deeply.
Yes, and take it and throw it down, smash it, laugh at it, burn it, stab it maybe, and then, come
So-
from the ashes.
So maybe what it comes down to in realizing that it's more about potential than good or bad is that the outcome of an individual's growth or pattern or path really comes down to their choice
Absolutely.
in those moments that could lead them either way. Could lead them either towards a path of destruction in life and
Destroying people.
in people and in everything, or a path that is not so destructive
Right.
to themselves and to others.
I think Jeff is exactly right that we need to be able to look at people of what the possibilities, because we don't know things about people.
It also means if someone has made choices that put them on one side of the spectrum or other, the next day, the potential exists for them to be on a different side of the spectrum.
Absolutely.
Well,
And that's really hard for people, I think.
Absolutely.
Not to...
Well, of course it's hard.
right, because
though.
we assume, somebody's been a druggie,
Exactly.
they've
yeah,
been
yeah.
in prison, they're
Look
no
at-
good.
It's not,
right?
it's not
And
our
then-
fault. It's not our fault.
Right.
We have to make judgment calls based on
Well-
the small
On the-
bits
on
of
the history.
people we
That's
see.
right.
I think
So it's
I
not
think
completely our
we've-
fault that we put people on these
We've
spectrums.
learned-
There's a survival aspect to
There
it.
have-
you
yeah,
have,
there
you
has
have
to
to be able
Right.
to judge people.
But I've often, to be honest, with people that we've met that have had a little bit of a harder road, maybe they've been involved in drugs or a lot of alcohol or maybe,
Abuse.
I don't know who you're talking about, but
We've been involved with people that
no,
have had
or
abuse.
or have been, maybe divorced and on to a second wife and now maybe a third or something, and so we maybe make judgments on that. But I have found that a lot of people, when they've been through really hard things, are the ones that, when they take a look at themselves, they're the best to be around because they're very reflective of
Of their journey.
of their
Of what
journey.
they've
I mean, a
gone
lot of people can be, some no, but I've appreciated when people have really had some hard things and they've come out on the other side and they're willing to talk to you about it.
When you say that, I think about Jelly Roll.
Well, yes, I'd love to have a conversation with Jelly Roll.
No, but I think about that because of his story. And,
Yeah. Well, and he's willing to share it.
and he's willing to share it. And I think he does
And he
that
said,
because he wants to
Yeah.
help.
and there
Help
was a
people.
young man, must be a Christian singer who he's singing a new song with. And he had Jelly Roll on a podcast, and I just saw for a moment about it. But he thanked Jelly Roll for being who he was. And look, Jelly Roll said, "Look, I'm a Christian, but I do things very different than most Christians. I don't speak the same. I'm just different, but I do it my way." And he said, "I'm still learning," and I I appreciate that very much. Anyways,
All right.
okay.
Who's
Daddy.
next?
Oh, did you remember the pattern or whatever you said?
It was just
I'm next.
yes.
Okay.
I'll let
I
you
think it's
decide.
gonna go. It's gonna go mom, dad, Annalie, Jeff, me, Abby, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
You've got a good memory.
Yeah, it was real
just
hard.
the pattern. Abby was.
It was the pattern.
What was it called?
No.
I was so surprised that no one mentioned that I wanted life like a Hallmark movie.
I missed that.
I think we kind of.
Everybody fell asleep. You'll have to do it again.
no.
Do you ever catch every little
No.
word in somebody's
I
story?
don't, but I was so surprised that you didn't catch that.
I've actually enjoyed some of the Hallmark movies that you and I have watched.
Yeah.
They've been.
I
they've been
think life like a Hallmark movie would be lovely.
good. Sometimes that's okay. Sometimes.
Only a little pig.
Only a little bit.
And then a makeup kiss.
That's where I first realized and heard the term "Love-you-ary"
What?
It's
For
Hallmark.
watching Hallmark?
for February.
Yes.
"Love-you-ary." I'd never heard that before until this
I
year.
was thinking where I heard that. It was your story.
I did mention in that story. Yeah. Is that the first time you'd heard it?
Yeah.
Me too.
You guys don't watch any.
Hallmark's now on my top 50.
Hey, it's on mine. I have branched out though.
To murder mysteries.
They're on Hallmark. Murder Mystery TV. No, we've been watching. What is it? What is that one? That's so weird.
The trippy one.
Severance.
Severance.
I think many people in this world want severance.
Sure, because you don't have to think.
The
No,
characters
it's
in
not about
this.
thinking. You don't have to feel.
The characters,
exactly
the
why one of
characters
the
in the
characters
show.
had it.
There's some of them that did it because
Yeah.
they didn't want to
Because their
feel
wife died.
for
They didn't want to
8
feel.
hours of the day the hurt and
They didn't
pain
have to hurt.
of losing a spouse or something.
Hmm. Yeah, we don't.
They still felt it, they just don't remember it.
Oh no, they don't feel it at work at all.
They feel it when they're home.
Literally
It's
gone.
literally gone until they go home, and then they do. When as soon as they go through that elevator, it's really kind of a trippy story. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting.
You say trippy story.
Trippy.
You hippie.
So this week's thought is from some experiences that I've had in meditation, and it just brought me to look at it in a more complete way with the entire race of humanity. So, the title is Humanity's Simple Birthright. Meditation's meanderings entice the mind. Prone upon the lifeline of existence, unseeing eyes gently shut in curiosity, daring humanity to explore, to take one simple, calculated risk, observed with love, a small yet inquisitive reach into an unknown world, humanity's private space, void of judgment, searching for clarity. Eyes playfully dance under soft, moist lids, curious, creative, inquisitive. Nature's tokens stand guard upon humanity's expanding doorstep into self-awareness. Silent sentinels sprouting whimsical voices across humanity's awakening mind. Organic monuments of creation's beauty and awe seamlessly merging with all. Earth Mother, creation's jewel, supplicates gracefully for pure awarenesses for forging. Gratitude emanates from lips of acceptance and love. Hawk's feather, brushing humanity's third eye, whispers freedom, strength, and courage to mind's gradual opening and spirit's discovering flight on a journey of exploration and love. Nature's green goodness offers encouragement as turtle purrs patiently. Live, love, and prosper. Frog gently croaks transformation in this rebirth to be blessed with life's abundances. Fish breathes oxygenated life source liquid, bubbling through humanity's cells to preserve and flourish with water salvation. Amphibian completes Earth Mother's prayerful petition with a trilling enchantment. Breathe deep, hold, time stops, hearts beat, blood flows. One moment, this moment, be the moment. Exhale slowly, settle, accept, and love.
So many births, so many deaths, infinite lives lived, uniqueness their collective beauty, fear their obstinate challenge, to love their constant giving, to be loved their ceaseless reaching. Humanity's soul shimmers brightly, unraveling, hard fought for, continual clutchings, one ridiculous holding on to after another, one simple grace upon simple grace, searching, hoping, loving light, and release. Ocean waves gently undulate as humanity naturally merges into liquid life, watery wonderment, immense, powerful, gentle, giving and taking, encompassing, pure liquid loving, extifiable sustenance. Fears gradually intensifying, gasping, choking, drowning, saving. Breathe, breathe deeply, hold, just be. Exhale slowly. Meditation's masterpiece tickles the senses. Green explosions vibrates balance. Humanity's beginnings spring vitality forward, encouraging growth and fertility. Heart's green chakra governs humanity's ability to give and receive love. Compassion encompassing self-love's emotional grounding as green blooms healing. Breathe green deeply. Hold. Shades of green flash shamrocks flittering by as lucky charms like emeralds in the sky. Exhale slowly. Anguish racks writhing souls, wailing, sobbing, hanging by a moment in hurt and pain and sorrow. Humanity's hand comforts, touch soothes gently. Tears saturate trembling lips, mortal cores uncontrollable quaking. Darkness rushes in, faint voices encourage relief. Humanity wrestles, humanity struggles. Meditation's motivating mantra reverberates through the soul. Let it go. Let it go. Breathe deeply. Hold. It's going to be okay, guidance assures. I'm here, love whispers warmly. Exhale slowly. Sweet release, comforting peace. Humanity's euphoria rushes boldly. Meditation's moving motto gently stirs the soul. Let it be. Let it be. It's just me. Light overwhelms darkness, streaming brilliance, eyes radiantly spring open to shocking brightness, all-encompassing whiteness. Pure love flows as gentle tears flow, and tender laughter shows that humanity knows the greatest thing ever learned in life's journey of existence is just to love and be loved in return. This is and will forever be humanity's simple birthright.
I appreciated the part where you talked about nature and some of the messages from nature, because for me there's miracles there. There's real magic in nature, and I can't explain it. I don't know what it is. I think there are parts of science that tries to explain it away in a very cold, calculated way. There's real magic there for me, and appreciated thinking about that.
I like the way you wrote it in the consistent. It was a consistent message of humanity's birthright, love. Consistent message of that, and then around it was chaos and darkness and light and all of the everything happening. But throughout the story, there was a consistent line of love, and I really liked that way of writing.
There was you had multiple parts where you just restated, just like, let it be, and you had one part where you said, let it be, it's just me. And really think I don't think it's actually possible to be fully in the moment, but through trying to be in the moment consistently as possible, there's a lot of benefit garnered, I think.
Just
Going back to the story conversation, if you're constantly trying to let go of your stories, it leaves room to be able to welcome other stories.
That's a good point.
So in there, you, that's what got me about it, because mostly through it you kept saying "let it be." So what was that representing? What were you meaning by that? Or
Well, letting go
Letting go.
of
Okay.
thing. It was letting go, right?
Yeah.
Not Frozen.
Well, that's why I was like,
let it go, she.
Well,
I think it was the journey of in this meditation of having these moments come that a soul would know, regardless of how difficult and how many decades of holding on to things, that it needed to let it go for that soul's health, for that soul's salvation. And that's what it was. That was what it was about.
Okay.
It was just being aware of that. Doesn't mean that it happens in that moment.
Something you would hold
It was an awareness of realizing that letting go and letting things be as they may is okay, and that it will happen in that soul's time frame. Yeah.
Because it's a birthright.
Yeah, it's a birthright. Part of the birthright.
I think for me, I had that same feeling when I was writing, and at the end, just being like, because for me, fear's been a big thing. It's always been there. And so to be able to say, I know fear will come, but then I can choose to say, be gone. I don't need that. But there'll be a time it'll come back again. But then I have that control to be able to say no. And that I can change my perception of not allowing fear to guide me or to control me. That was something that, in my writing, I was thinking about. That's not that was what you're talking about.
I think that when someone actually, and there's so many layers and so much time and things that need to be released. But I think that the message in there I was trying to get to was that awareness of letting go and releasing things that you hold on to, that then when your eyes are open, you're left with just me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And I think there's a certain beauty in that you have self-realization that in spite of all the chaos, if you can let go of all those layers and holdings, that you're just left with you.
Or what things you maybe thought had to be or be important to you, maybe realizing that it's okay to let go of some of them, and that
They don't hold
as much
significance and weight,
as they have for decades.
For your life.
As you guys are talking about that, it made me think about a metaphor I'll use in therapy sometimes. If someone's trying to swim in the ocean and they're holding this very heavy suitcase that's pulling them just under the surface. As long as they hold on to that suitcase, they can't get to the surface. And I think a lot of people don't want to let go of that suitcase because it means they have to rise. It means they have to breathe. It means they have to tread. It means they have to find a direction and swim. And I think a lot of people would rather hold onto a suitcase and stay just below the surface and die that way because it's safer.
I agree.
And
it's
what?
really,
Chaos win.
yeah, it's really interesting to watch people do that exact thing you're
I
talking
did it for a
about.
long time. In my life.
Watch myself do it. It's like there's a part of you that's constantly working against another part of yourself that wants to be on top of mountains
good
and
point.
wants to be somewhere. It's like a part of you keeps you at the lowest it can be at because it's not alone there.
And I think that's part of too of holding on to. We hold on to so much. We either hold on to being the victim or we hold on whatever it is, and by releasing that, we aren't sure what is forward, but it's certainly better than, like Jeff said, holding on to the suitcase and dying.
Well, I don't know if it is better for some people. Meaning, I think a lot of people believe that will be worse.
You mean
Letting go.
letting go?
Yep. And to the point of knowing yourself, if that's all you've done or the majority of what you've done, it is who you are.
Yeah, things
Right?
are,
And so
are
the second
scary
you
for
let-
the unknown.
Second you let go, it's like, who am I now? I don't know.
So the sooner you let go, the more time you have to find out
Yeah.
Very much
who you are.
Agree.
Right? You know,
Well-
that it's
And it-
just you.
And you see it, and you see it happen at all different age groups, and it's really
All different times.
all different times. And
Well, see,
yeah,
that's
you're
what's-
totally right about that.
That's what's funny though. Dad and I are experiencing things at 60 and 62 that a lot of people wouldn't even look at or do or even examine because they're so stuck. And somehow we're willing to just say, okay, let's see what else we can learn.
Well, they're not just stuck. I think one of the major issues we're dealing with as a society at the moment is there's so many structures that can be in place for your life that can already be there that will exist your entire life if you want them to. Like, there's not much uncertainty.
There's so many suitcases.
So
that you can
many
grab
suitcases
onto.
you can grab onto. It's just easy. Like, you can be a capitalist and a liberal, and you can be whatever you want to be. You can just grab onto that suitcase and it's already there for you.
I'd like to be rich. 'Cause then I
That
just
suitcase
would
is
have-
really, really heavy. You'd be at the bottom of the ocean before you could ever take
Just
any.
meaning. The only thing I've always thought about that is that, to me, my life, I think our life would be pretty perfect because you just wouldn't have to worry about paying bills, but everything else would still be chaotic. But you just wouldn't just have to worry about paying bills.
Maybe having the space open up in one's mind to not have to worry about bills only opens up space for worry elsewhere. If you're holding on to the suitcase, if I have to worry.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm thinking that suitcase would be pretty awesome to have. That's what makes us all different, right?
Yeah.
Is we all probably would grab a different suitcase.
We all do grab different suitcases.
Jeez Louise, stories are different suitcases.
Some of us just swim.
So it's just,
Swimming's really hard though.
Something's really good.
oh boy, we watched
No sharks.
No sharks.
no, we watched a gentleman that fell off a cruise ship.
You have to be one with the sharks.
So listen to this, you guys. We watched a video with a guy that fell off a cruise ship. They didn't even know he was missing. His family didn't realize that he'd gone to go to the
How was there a
bathroom.
video and nobody knew?
What? No. Video of him talking. He actually survived this.
Yeah, I got you.
But they didn't realize he was missing until like 4 hours later. The poor kid had already been in the ocean for 4 hours.
Just 4 hours?
Pretty unlikely he survived the fall of
No.
a cruise ship.
We should all test that at one point.
No,
And
but get
time
this.
our families. How long does it
How long
take?
would it take to notice someone's
No,
missing?
That's how you figure your importance.
That's a great,
No, but
great thing
anyways,
to
so
test
they
out.
didn't find him for 20 hours because it took 4 hours for the cruise ship to even be notified he was missing, which then they put out the...
And sharks will follow cruise ships because they just dump all of their food constantly.
Right,
This
well,
was a
and get this.
shark-infested sea.
Yeah, he was with sharks, and he had to kick a few, and it scared him. He says, I didn't even know.
I think if it didn't, that'd be a little weird.
Yeah, but anyways, I couldn't imagine. He said there was no way he thought it. I mean, he couldn't believe he was surviving, and it got dark. That scared him when it got. Well, he fell when it was dark, and it got light, and then it got dark again, which really terrified him because the water got cold, and then some fishing vessel or something ended up finding him. But it had been 20 hours
That's pretty crazy.
in the water.
Okay.
I don't
That's
think
impressive.
he had a. Well, that's impressive because nothing kept him afloat. No suitcase. No, I drug him down.
There might be some similarities from other writings today. And you may have, or the people here may have seen a little of this today. But I wrote it before any of that ever happened.
So some of it may have already been expressed. No?
You'll just have to see. All right. What happens to someone who grows up keeping things inside? Learning to not let their heart be their guide. Don't speak those words. They might hurt feelings, but they could have created connection and healings. What happens to someone who holds thoughts and feelings back? They pile up and are carried on your shoulders in a pack until one day they burst out over spilled milk, which is not really what it's about. Explosions happen here and there as they try to grasp and breathe in air. What happens to someone's thoughts that are not let out? Stories are created to make sense of what they are about. They morph and unravel the stories inside their head. It would be better to shed light and express them instead. Those stories are compelling, riveting, and may have truth. They may have also stemmed from something in the person's youth. So what happens when someone sees the pattern they are in? Oh, the work that is about to begin. Piece by piece, they pick apart, tossing and keeping what speaks truth to their heart. They start to speak their truth and not hold back. Sometimes it is met with grace, other times with flack. Keep speaking, keep finding who you are. Your needs need to be shared, even if it seems a little bizarre. What happens to someone who grows into the person they want to be? I don't know. I'm learning how to just grow into me.
I always like how you're able to put things together, of course, with a rhyme. And I really liked your analogy of the spilled milk. You said something before that, something about like that there's about,
Exploding over spilled.
yeah, and
That's
it's
not really
probably
what it's
something else. Yeah, it's really probably about something else. I thought that is something I was thinking.
true.
Yeah, I was thinking about being a mom and how sometimes you poor little kids get you angry at them. It had nothing to do with them. It had everything to do with what was happening.
One of the most prominent memories growing up is mom would be pretty angry, upset, short, whatever, and to us kids, and then her mom would call and she'd be like, "Hi, Mom."
Oh boy.
It was
You kind of had the
it was
lilt in her
always-
voice. There was a little lilt in her voice when her mom was on the phone.
Not a little. It was a dramatic shift from from what was happening before. So it was.
But that wasn't only with her mom. It was with like her aunt and her sister. I mean, it was just like a family thing. One that I heard
I
on
don't
the
think
phone.
it was I mean, it could have been a friend who called. It doesn't. That's the person.
He's saying I had a certain thing with my family.
with people in your family that you talk to.
You had to put a face on of some sort.
It was just a difference in the voice on the phone with that family member at that time, just like Jeff said, than what was actually going on in the moment that the call happened. It was a change. Yeah.
I think it's useful when explosions happen, and it doesn't have to be about spilled milk. It can actually be about the situation, and truth can come out.
I agree. I totally agree. Because a lot of people stop at the spilled milk.
Right.
They just yell about that and then move on completely. And that doesn't solve anything.
I think you're right about kind of the theme of, it seems, this podcast so far. That in spite of all the chaos and differences of perceptions in relationships and opinions, that when it comes down to it, I love the way you ended with that. You're discovering you in spite of all of the crap and garbage and chaos. That I felt like that's what you were saying, is that you wanted to rediscover or discover you.
Well, I think it's important to add to that. It may not be in spite of. It may be because of.
Yeah.
It might be wading through crap and garbage is the only way us humans get a sense of who we actually are.
Being, yeah.
Well, how else could you learn? You don't have to otherwise. If
But
you're just
like-
wading through
Like we said,
cotton fields, then
well, like we said, a lot of people
Yeah.
are comfortable in their box or their suitcase, and that's
No, the
their.
suitcase is pulling them under.
It still doesn't mean they're not comfortable.
I think we're mixing too many analogies now.
Me?
Omri always has such a sweet way that they always sound. Everyone.
I also think it's an important thing that you talked about not trying to become something.
Yeah, you mentioned that you were at one point, or like at one point people imagine or want to be something. You just want to be who you are.
Yeah.
And
And-
that's the hard part, is figuring out sometimes who you are.
And if you're always trying to be something, then you're never that thing.
Yeah, because
You're
you're
always trying to
trying.
be that thing. And that thing is probably not yelling over spilled milk, but you can never be that thing, not yelling over spilled milk. Because you're always trying to be that thing. Thought that was powerful. It was good.
All right, my story comes from, there was a series of experiments that I just learned about that were started in the 60s of scientists trying to learn how to eliminate mice, I think from New York, I can't remember where. And and this particular researcher started to desire, see what would happen if mice were put in the perfect paradise. And so this story is based on his research, and it's from one of the mice's perspective. So, it's called Mouse Paradise. I am mouse number 6, one of the original 8 placed into paradise, and the lone survivor of this cursed dream. In the beginning, life really was serene. All the space imaginable. This mouse paradise is made up of 16 different resting area spaces. Each resting space has 16 individual apartments for little mouse families. Our needs are met by the watchers who give from above endless food, an everlasting flow of water, and the watchers even clean our messes. The original 8 split into 4 pairs, each starting their own family. When mice have space and manna from heaven, reproduction becomes a factory producing consistently. We proudly doubled our population every 55 days. By day 315, our population had reached 620. This is when everything began to change. I, mouse number 6, have always been more of a rioter and observer than a fighter. I had my family. I provided via the watchers, and I protected our pups. Or rather, I would have if needed. I did fight off mouse number 2 once, who wanted to take my partner for his own. There wasn't actually any fighting. I simply convinced him that my partner never stopped complaining nor talking, and he said, "Oh, I already have one of those, thank you very much," and scurried back to his own cell. Once my pups were raised and ready to go out on their own, my need to reproduce was satiated, so I set myself to watch and observe, as the watchers do. For who better to emulate one's life after than those who are on high? All was well, but all was not fair. We mice live hierarchically. The toughest mice started to gather the biggest harems. The outcasts gathered in the center of paradise. With our civilization at peak health and a booming population, the outcasts didn't have to wait long for at least one partner and a chance to go together to find their own apartment. I wandered this growing mouse world with the question of what happens when there is no more space. I didn't have to wait long. Soon after the last apartment was filled, the number of outcasts skyrocketed. I could feel their collective energy rising, like too much pressure of a lion's paw on a mouse's chest. Death was calling. These outcasts shouted about the unfairness of this paradise, while grouped in the center, their paws clenched, shaking upwards toward the watchers. Surely the compassionate ones providing our needs would hear their sufferings and intervene. I waited with barely a breath escaping for the bomb to be diffused. Boom! The outcasts began tearing each other apart. Many died that day, and the watchers reached down. And then the watchers reached down, not to stop the madness, but to collect the ones whose hearts no longer beat. The survivors turned their hysterical, pent-up energy to the ones who had. In the mouse world, it is normal to face 1 or 2 challengers back to back. But there were lines of heavy breathing, bloody outcasts, crazed and hell-bent on destruction. The fathers did their best to hold their ground and protect their families, but they were overwhelmed quickly. The mothers tried to fight too, but it was useless. In the chaos, some of the mothers accidentally attacked their own young. Many pups died that day, and the watchers gathered the lifeless young. When the sawdust settled from the unrestrained berserking of that fateful day, nothing would be the same. From my spectator window, I watched the death of paradise that day. The outcasts wandered the cells aimlessly. Randomly and with violence, one would attack the other. The attacked refusing to resist the assault. Without reason, the attacked would then do the same. Soon, outcasts were easily identified because of their extreme scarring, like walking food pellets chewed and spit out. Worst of all, these marred mice would line up like some satanic snake, spreading their venom to those still trying to establish a proper nest. This venom spread to the mothers and would create a generation of mutant mice never seen before. The mayhem caused these mothers to kick their pups out of the nest before their weaning time had come. Some mothers would move nests frantically, forgetting and leaving some pups behind. So many tiny ones died. Pulling apart nests in this manner caused the venom to pump life into the surviving pups, and the watchers gathered the innocent dead. Nests became almost non-existent until the last pup was born on day 920. No more births, only lonely deaths existed in paradise after that last birth. The unformed and untrained pups grew into embryonic mutant mice. The watchers took each lacerated outcast away as they in their anger died. The cells and tunnels were occupied by males I dubbed the beautiful ones. These freaks of nature had no desire for gathering partners or protecting nests. They did not fight, but rather avoided contact with all others. All of their distorted energy used to preen and groom their fur to protection. The flow and appearance of their coats taking the place of any need or impulse. The females seemed to be frozen with fear or stupidity. It was difficult to distinguish. With no desire to build nests, nor any instinct to fill the unbuilt nests, isophilia being their deepest impulse. The females would locate an empty apartment on a lonely corner, an empty apartment or a lonely corner, to sit and stare into some unseeable void, rarely leaving their claimed connectionless vacant space. The beautiful ones and the frozen ones are but memories now. Ghosts in the corridors of paradise. I don't know why. I am mouse number 6, one of the first, chosen by some cruel fate to witness not paradise, but the unveiling of some unimaginable hell. The mountaintop of the promised land was covered with 2,200 mice of the white coat at day 560. 1,040 days later, I walk the deepest pits of the netherworld, not alone. Alone at least would be bearable, but with the scenes of the perverse annihilation of my own kind. And the watchers still watch, and I yearn for the day these memories fade to black as the watcher's hand reaches down to me too.
So was that, did you make a story or was there truth in that?
That was the study.
That was the study. Okay, so they really had like hissing venom that came out and made the babies be weird?
No, that was a metaphor.
That was you? That was a metaphor. I was really into that. I was like, ooh, there was mutant babies. And...
There was really mutant babies, as I described them.
Really? So crazy. It's like, I feel like that's what's happening with our phones.
You felt a parallel to our phones, the venom being our phones?
No, like the whole study is kind of like our phones and what's happening to our minds and our...
I love the use of isophilia. Being isolated, the female were isolated in some part of the study, and they just stared out into nothingness.
So the women stared out to nothingness, and the men just licked their coats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the study, they were literally called the beautiful ones.
The beautiful.
Because they just became...
That's so
just
fascinating.
became
Like-
literally like what's the Greek Narcissa, right?
Yeah.
So was mouse number
weird.
6 where did mouse number 6 fall in the study? I know he was wandering, waiting for the Watchers to end his existence.
In the beginning of that, mouse number 6 was number 6 of the original
study.
Yeah.
Was he the only one left of the original 8?
Yeah, and that's a creative license on my part, right? I
Okay.
took a little bit of a creative license of taking this character and having this character be a part of the entire thing.
Yeah, just a vision of the entire study
Yeah.
through that number 6.
So it's crazy because they
That's
they
interesting.
had all
study.
these babies, and then they all got crazy, and then the women got shoved to the outer places, and the men just got beautiful. Like, it's just
As you were reading it, I was having flashes of modern American
Yeah.
society breaking apart and how it looks, and the way you were painting it was it coincided in a lot of ways.
and the men dancing around in beautiful clothes and beautiful hair, and the women just sitting and crying in a corner.
I had this vision of I Am Legend.
Sure.
You know,
It's kind of that
mouse
vibe.
number 6 was
Yeah,
him, and wandering through the streets of New York, the last surviving.
Can you imagine I Am Legend with beautiful ones and frozen ones instead of zombies?
Instead of zombies.
Instead of
Really funny.
Do you think they would have like I was just hearing more of a feminine voice for like men. Anyway, when you were talking about the story about mice, I was thinking about what story do the mice have in our walls?
Are they doubling
loud
their
again?
generation?
Are
I hear them.
Can you hear them again? Dad,
Do they have
it's
meetings?
time to call the exterminator again. Annalie will give us the number. We will call. Do we have the kits still?
we do. I have a whole bunch of big kids.
According to this study, we should gather all the mice up, put them in a container, and feed
Well,
them and water them.
And then they'll bring back the mind virus to everybody else.
Well, but we need to. I was wondering the other night.
All of the big containers that they left the last time, I have out in the barn, and we can
Okay.
distribute them.
Well, we got to get the pellets.
All right.
I have 2 boxes of
That made
pellets.
us a mice study.
It's interesting the gender differences in that story.
That the men are beautiful and the women are stuck
Yeah,
at
just
the
the
corner
differences
and
at all.
Why'd you pick a mouse and not maybe an observer?
I thought it was more interesting.
It was pretty interesting.
Wow.
Especially I really found interesting the trying to understand what a mouse might view these entities that are offering all of this stuff and
I'm picking up the dead.
picking up the dead.
Didn't you talk about the mice like taking or keeping count of their society doubling over a certain amount of days? I thought that was really funny the way you wrote that.
All right.
Next step, Abby. Follow the pattern. Okay.
Follow the pattern.
Okay.
Okay, this poem is called Why. Sorry, wait a second. I'm very sleepy. I'm so tired. Okay. Alone in a room, there is nothing but my emotions. I sit there motionless, feeling it consuming me as I reach for air, as I'm drowning on the inside, trying to find a piece of hope to grasp. I sit there still with emotionless eyes. Why don't they listen? Why don't they pay attention? Why don't they take me seriously? Why? Watching the lights go in and out of focus, I dive deeper into my thoughts. Was it the embarrassment that got to me? Maybe it's because I caught myself acting a way to keep them interested. Why don't my plans ever turn out? Why doesn't anyone care? Why do I care so much? Why? Sitting in a room alone with my tears rolling down my cheeks, I feel the emptiness of being misunderstood. I feel the emptiness of being forgotten. I feel the emptiness of not being able to relate. Alone with myself, I learn I need to be alone. Creating room for those that look for me. Control needs to be given up and patience needs to be gained. Only I can know my deepest desires. Only I can protect myself. Maybe one day I can drop these chains and learn to fly. The end.
She's the one that always does the end.
That's
That's
her
her
stamp.
mantra.
That's her stamp.
You know, when you first started reading, I was thinking about the mice and the women mice alone. I was like reading the little story, like the little mice.
She's one of those.
She's one of the women mice alone.
Yeah. And
The longer I live, I think the experience of being misunderstood or the fear of being misunderstood, I think, is some of the hardest experiences to have as a human.
I also think to be when you're alone and you're thinking you're the only one that's alone and you're the only one stuck with these chains, and why can't I let go of these chains, and why does nobody understand me? Like, I think if you went house to house, you'd probably find someone in every house that feels the same way.
It's very fascinating to me that, exactly like you just said, there's so many people that can relate to those words of feeling isolated, and that being a commonplace emotion we seem to experience, or an event we seem to experience.
But yet we don't seem to gather.
Yeah, we don't seem to do anything
We seem
about
to
it.
sit alone with our chains, crying in the room.
Well, I think that, again, I think it just comes to the systems we're raised in, not really wanting you to feel.
How do we change that?
How do you change that?
Well,
So in your writing, didn't, after you talked about feeling misunderstood and alone, you said that you should be alone more?
I wrote, alone with myself, I learn I need to be alone. Creating room for those that look for me.
Dang.
It's like Jeff said in the one part of, if like when the guy went over the cruise ship, who would miss us? Like in the family, who would actually miss us?
I think part of maturing is being able to sit with people present and be present enough sitting with those people that I can assess, is this person serious, genuine, and respectful enough to hold the pearls that I hold?
Mm.
Or are they just going to drop them in the mud?
Yeah.
Many people drop things in the mud, though. That's the problem. It's hard to find real people that, really want friendship.
That will take the time to
Yeah.
carry a lot of pearls.
Yeah. Well, they could get heavy, but you could put them, they're little. They could go into a few pockets.
When you said that last part about making room for people to find me, or what, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Creating room for those that look for me.
I thought about, well, for me, and that I think is just because of all the things that I've been thinking about, creating room for me to find me. And I think in those moments of where I have felt similar feelings of crying myself, that's silly, I guess, but also you see a glimpse of yourself, and you step up for yourself, and that's how I have grown a little bit in the last few days of just stepping in and being there for me.
You just made me think as well, if you don't even recognize who you are, how are you supposed to recognize when anybody else recognizes the actual you?
That's such a good point.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that self-realization has to happen first. It's necessary for that connection to even be able to be a possibility at all.
Because without that, if someone sees something that isn't me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very likely going to fall into that
Yeah.
costume.
Yeah.
But then how do you get yourself out of the room?
Well, I think, like Abby said, you have to be alone. You have to be with yourself. And then you'll be able to see the people who actually look for you.
That's true, because maybe we miss it when we're...
Well, how can you see if somebody's looking for you if you haven't found yourself at all? So if you don't even know what other people might be noticing.
It's such a good point, Peyton. All right.
Okay, pay 10. Okay.
My phone is dead. Your dad?
Yes, sir.
I think I've recently got over a phone addiction, and with that, my phone has been dying a lot more.
Yeah, that happens.
Oh, because you mean
That's
you
awesome.
were, you were plugging
Because you don't
it.
pay attention.
Yeah, I stopped paying attention to it as much.
Freedom.
Your phone deserves it.
To rest.
So do your eyes and your brain.
Okay, I'm going to give you guys a choice.
Choose your own adventure.
Okay, the first one is called To Me and You from Tomorrow's Night Sky.
Sounds good.
I'm trying to find the other one I had in mind.
Imagine having so many writings that you lose one.
I can't imagine.
No, I write the day 2 hours before. If I'm lucky.
You're getting very good at it.
At least I have done it, I guess.
Yeah.
I have them categorized, but if I don't
That's
get it
really
into a
good.
category, then I have to like find it. Okay, the other one's called Reconcile.
I like the first one.
From me to you in Tomorrow Night Sky.
From
Wow.
Tomorrow. From
Was that the good title? Was that the real
That's the
title?
title.
Wow. I was trying to
It's
remember.
close. It was close to that.
So you have Reconcile or From Me to You from
That one.
Tomorrow Night's.
That one. Unless you want to read the other one. But that
The
first
title
one,
is so intriguing.
Yeah, the
it's
title
Okay.
is
it
intriguing.
is
Okay.
the title.
We'll read that one.
I felt like he was putting more emphasis on the last one. Are you sure?
No, I just.
You didn't say, are you sure?
No, I know I added that. Just so we're clear.
I can't find that one now. Dang it. Where did it go?
My hands are so big
It's-
compared
it's-
to mine.
Blended into the night sky.
At least I have one thing little.
Lost among the stars.
I'm so confused on where it went.
Maybe you're supposed
What's
to do
the
the other
category
one.
that it's under, Peyton?
Should be in poem, but I don't know if I.
Be
It
patient.
jumped lists.
Be patient, crowd, listening.
It's okay. I'll just.
They don't have to be patient listening to us.
No, we can edit it.
I'll
No,
cut
there
to this.
isn't. It just has made me laugh to think of
There
all
it
these people
is.
going, "What's the story going to be? What's the story going to be?"
Oh, wow.
Okay, this is To Me and You from Tomorrow's Night Sky. Your consensus has constantly changed to fit your favor, an ever-shifting desert sculpted by a liar's mind. Safety and solace in the face of a pretender's presence. I guess, and I guess, and I guess you aren't alone in the shifting sands as they swallow most of us. Cracked hands, barely visible, reaching for a sun you wish your eyes had noticed. It's too late. Your mouth is full of dust, your body buried. Don't justify your actions, watch them, and keep telling your posterity they are justified. You have the energy to make every moment a conscious one, but not the will to ensure you don't start to sink. A few have made it to the oasis, never shifting reality to fit their unconscious desires. They watch the sun disappear into the night and give thanks for the moonlight left behind. They reach for the hands emerging from the sand, every liar, every man, and forgive them. To the lost and confused, to the mouths filled and buried, you need to stop. Shifting sand dunes will fill our idle minds, showing us worlds made of dust, disintegrating over and over again. Before it's too late, search for the oasis of reality.
I really liked how you described the ideas of my mind's going blank.
For me, I really like the shifting sands. It just made me think about how life has changed so much, and like you think people are telling the truth, but then that sand shifts and you have to decide, are they or aren't they? And then it shifts again and you aren't sure again what's happening. You know, I just think it's life, it's stories, it's whatever's happening with that shifting sand. You don't really know from day to day what's going to happen, but I don't know. The shifting sands was interesting. Then you talked about liars, and what was the other thing you said? After liar, you said liars.
Pretenders' presence.
Pretenders. I thought that, well, then that's part of that shifting sand, because you don't know really what someone is. And then you talked about the sun, and it made me think of kind of God. Like, I would normally have turned to God to find out, is someone being honest, or what is my feelings? I don't know. That's the kind of the way I was taking what you were writing, but I don't know exactly what you were meaning by that all. But
I really liked how you painted the few that have found the oasis, you put it, in watching the sun dip and the moonlight's left behind, and forgiving every hand that's coming out of the sand. And I thought it was a really nice way to write about gratitude for reality.
I really like in the beginning when you talked about trying to look at the sun when there's dust in your mouth and you're buried in the sand.
Yeah, it's too late.
It's too late. Just gotta accept where you're at now. You had your chance to look at the sun, now you can look at the sand.
that's a really bad day, though. That means, that
It's
was
the
a
only
hard
day
day.
at that point.
Yeah.
When your mouth is filled and you're buried, you don't have much choice.
What do you mean by the hands coming from the sand?
There seems to be something that's pretty consistent that people do, which is realize a little too late at what they should have been doing. So cracking hands coming out of sand is a way I tried to visualize that.
Well, I've always thought of that 100 Dumb Ways to Die, what someone would think if they were like, oh, shoot, as something crazy is happening, a step the wrong direction or whatever, picture off the cliff. They probably think, what the heck? Dang it, that's not what I meant to do. Kind of like he's saying.
Don't
like,
feed your private parts.
Yeah.
To piranhas.
The idea of forgiveness has really shifted for me over the last few years, from very religious,
Rigid in structure.
to just healthy internal processing and being present. And
I think there is some. I don't want to. I hate the word responsibility, but I think there is some responsibility for people who kind of realize what's going on with everybody. And everybody's making up all these stories, and we're all living in that. There's some responsibility, to give people grace that are lost.
Well, no, all of us, because that's the problem, right? We're all in a different story. And so, right, is there a point that we do give each other a little bit of grace and trying to actually figure out what is someone else's story? Or is it,
I don't think it's too hard to give people grace when you're the only one sitting in a desert and you see a hand pop out.
It's scary. That was just
That's such a good point. Yeah, really good point. The harsh word liar, it really sort of rang and bounced in my head. How many times have I lied to other people, to myself?
That's real. That's real though.
I thought the ending, which I believe was continue to search for the oasis.
Do you want me to read it?
The oasis of reality.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, read it.
Shifting sand dunes will fill our idle minds, showing us worlds made of dust, disintegrating over and over again. Before it's too late, search for the oasis of reality.
Could that ending be realizing being in the moment and living in the present, in that person's search for reality, having it be living in the moment and being present in the moment?
Well, if you're sitting in the desert and hunt, a hand comes up, that would scare the living daylights out of you, so.
It'd just be the night sky.
I thought about Dune and the giant sandworms.
I thought about doing when I was writing this.
Yeah, that's what came to my mind when you were sharing that. That was Dune. Yeah.
All right. Jeffrey?
The only single person here.
Yeah.
Okay. For this poem, it's called Seed. And I want to try something. If you have any comments, it has to be a critique.
Okay.
All right. Seed. What if you wanted to break, decided to hate the give and take? Would you fade and disappear? Would you run and scream in fear? What would you do? Burning, there is a flame in you, yearning for what you'll go through, waiting for you to see what you will do. There is a fire, and it's in need of your desire, so you can watch your growth transpire. You're a tree and a mushroom and a liar, so give breath to your body on fire. Because you're not just a random crier, you'll at least be called a trier if you can light your body on fire. What will you do? You say you want to see the stars behind the golden gates, the gods in their unfolded grace. But are you ready for this? The chaotic fall from bliss. Are you ready for this? Will you grow your roots with me, travel to the depths underneath, feeling the pain we unsheathed, reach the hells that we weave so we know how it feels to grieve? Connecting my roots to yours, reaching our branches to the sky, then letting this story end, lighting our fires so we can fly towards the heavens, opening the slit to find my eye, to flow with the sevens. I am the tender to the fire, I bring the water to my seed, and from the earth I will feed, and from the sky I will breathe, but all you see is a helpless, lonely seed.
I think it's really hard to critique poetry when, at least for me, when I'm not like a professional poet. I haven't. In other words,
What does that mean?
Well, in my mind,
Yeah.
what it means is I haven't put enough time and effort and energy into understanding poetry in depth. And so it's really hard to critique something like that. I see it as poetry, a poem, because I just don't know the art well enough, if that makes sense.
I can ask, how can you be a tree and a mushroom
And a liar.
and a liar? Yes, I didn't.
Easy.
You already are.
Are you saying we all are?
I'm a tree and a mushroom.
And a liar.
And
You
I
had
don't exactly know how
The
that
only
can
critique
be.
that comes to mind is you shouldn't set your body on fire.
Yeah, that's good. I was,
That's your stuff.
That's my critique.
when you were talking about lighting the body on fire, you said can. If I can light something on fire, I thought could would have fit better in the context. I remember instantly thinking that, but
If you can light your body on fire.
yeah, I thought it could
If you could light your body on fire.
kind of fit better there.
hallelujah.
That's interesting what you said about critiquing poetry, because I don't think poetry, at least poetry that is impactful, ever is trying to be like the art of poetry. It's literally coming from somebody.
Yeah,
Internally,
so it's hard. How do
very
you critique?
organic.
It's very organic. That's what good poetry is. So it's not even something that you could necessarily master. You could master different styles of poetry, but
Well, how do you critique?
poetry kind of comes about naturally, I feel like, through
It's
different people.
so individual to you that it's kind of hard for, I think, others to critique it because it's your version, it's your poetry, it's your words, it's your speak. You know,
Like I guess one critique could possibly be for me, like your voice and the way you read it was it fit really well, and I think that could even go to another level had you put more time and effort in rereading, editing, really being with those words and knowing them for a longer period of time. I think it would have like stepped it up even more. It would have resonated even deeper.
If I could sit with the writing and make it better and evolve it.
The one thing I thought of was you kind of switched ideas pretty quickly throughout the poem. And for somebody listening, it's kind of hard to jump from your ideas that might be switching really quickly. So if you wanted to be understood a little bit better, maybe
Maybe not even
Adding
understood
some
though,
more.
but maybe just helping the listener or the reader follow.
yeah, like transition into different ideas rather than just like switch.
Switching,
Yeah, which is hard to do. It's something I struggle with a lot.
I really like metaphorical or allegorical poetry. Abstract poetry, because there's something that you know that we don't, and when poetry is put in that way, it allows it to resonate for the person, and then if the listener or the reader wants to take time to try to pull apart your words and try to understand, there's like a little treasure there.
Yeah.
So I really like the abstractness of it. I do think that like paying attention to transitions and where you want the reader or listener to go, and that probably goes back with the time thing, like more time to really sit with and think about.
Yeah.
But it's hard with poetry.
yeah. But I think there's always a thread, or you want there to be a thread of your thoughts through that kind of connect throughout whatever you're writing. And I think you hope to convey that to the listener, whatever that theme or thread is.
Yeah.
One thing that I found with AI, if you really want an unbiased like review, is tell AI that you are needing this graded for a friend, for a class. And if it's that separated from you, it'll be honest about it.
That's
If you
so
say-
interesting.
If you say
It's for a friend, for a class.
right?
I
But
need
if
you
you
to
say
take this
it
seriously.
to about that this is my.
It won't be honest. It won't be.
It-
It'll try to soften it.
It will. It will
Really?
soften it. Yes.
That's interesting
Interesting.
for people too, because it would probably be easier to critique my poem if it was just words on a
Yes.
page,
And detached from you.
detached from me.
Yeah.
If you were trying to
Maybe. I
grade
mean,
it,
because you asked for the criticism. It's not it's not a challenge for me to give it to you. Other than what I said at the first.
I've definitely felt at times when I've asked for honest criticism.
People aren't.
They're not honest. But maybe that's just me, picking apart more. But
Then why ask?
It also could be a part of you.
that's true. Yeah.
It also could
Yeah.
be a part of you.
If there's not going to be a genuine, honest critique, then why even go there?
It's something that Charles Bukowski talks about. Actually,
Really?
yeah, he talks about if you need to show your wife, if you need to show anybody your work,
Yeah.
you're not ready.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is
Like if you
interesting.
need someone to look over it.
Yeah.
You're not ready.
Yeah,
It's-
that's very good.
Or some people just like to share their stuff.
yeah.
Dad's one who likes to share stuff. Well, that sounds like.
Well, it's hard to like.
Dirty old man.
Oh, that caught me funny. Sorry.
It's hard to want to improve at something, but then feel like nobody will give you the things, the tools, the substance necessary to improve.
Sure.
But we haven't had AI before, so why use it? Find it another way.
Wait, what?
What? Such
What?
a
I don't know
I
where
think-
you are.
I think because we have it. I think it's a
There's
really
a
good thing
cat.
AI's bad,
too. I think
and we're ending there.
I think it's a really cool tool to use
It is.
because if it's real with you.
You have to get it to.
I
You
feel
can't
like
just have
it's
it be real with
cheating.
you.
I feel like
yeah, that's
it's
interesting because I
cheating.
didn't know that.
We're not talking
I'll
about
show you guys
We're not
tonight
talking
after
about
the
the
podcast.
context
It's
of
pretty
cheating.
cool.
No, I just feel
But I
like
think-
it is cheating when you.
It's not
Come on.
cheating if
My
you're
what?
asking to learn.
In a school setting, if you were writing a paper, a peer critique is pretty much mandatory in revising writing. And that's all AI is, as long as you're not using AI to go, hey,
Fix this.
fix this for me and
Write it for me.
write it for me, and I'll just copy and paste that. That's totally different than, hey, analyze this writing, tell me where there might be some structural issues or
You're learning about whatever that is, and then you are processing it from your mind, from that learning on AI
yes.
to paper, and it's yours.
Yeah. No, if you were saying, hey, fill in, I have this idea, hey, fill in a poem for me.
I think it goes back to our discussion about knowing yourself. My guess is people that have a less sense of self would use AI to do things for them
Mm-hmm.
versus someone who maybe knows themselves a little more would appreciate the criticism and implement that and use it.
It's a funny side note on the AI. AI is terrible at poetry. It's terrible at writing poetry.
Yeah, which makes sense because
It's not.
there's no
Well, it goes based only on what you were saying, which is like this idea that there's a mastery of it rather than it coming naturally out of people.
You're up.
take us home.
Oh boy.
Jeffrey, I think my critique was you should sing it. That's what you should have done.
Okay, Savage.
I'll sing
You want to make it a song?
That'll be awesome, dude.
It's
I
gonna be
was
a good song.
disappointed. It's fine.
Dude, we could download some different software for like auto-tune and stuff and mess around with some songs. It'd be
Oh,
fun. That'd be
right.
fun.
On the podcast?
Oh, we can do it on the podcast.
No.
I would love to hear you sing some.
I would.
Please give that woman a microphone.
It's been a dream of hers for life.
Yes, I was supposed to be a famous Broadway star.
You are. You're the Broadway star of your play.
Everybody's dream.
Is she a Broadway star? Did you think everybody was walking around secretly just wanting to be a Broadway star? That was their dream?
You know, it's funny because my parents took me to I saw Johnny Mathis, Sammy Davis Jr. Oh gosh, the people that did Camelot. What was his name? I don't remember. Anyways, they were husband and wife duo that sang, Robert Goulet and his wife. And anyways, so I saw singers, but I'd never been to a play or anything, and I don't know why I thought I'd be I just thought you could just be it.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I was going to be a forest ranger. Whatever. I fit both of those perfectly.
The star you do.
Pardon me?
The star you do.
The star I do. Okay.
The Forest Ranger not so.
You fit on the Smurfs musical.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why? Because I'm purple or blue?
What's the poppy?
That is not a Smurf.
What is it?
Trolls.
Trolls.
You fit on the Trolls musical.
Same tint of creature, I guess.
I guess. Smurfs, Trolls.
Why? Because my name is Poppy first.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're really happy you joined us today on Inside the Broken Family. Please, do we have titles? Any titles? Because I am stuck.
You're stuck?
I don't give the titles, but if you have it.
How
Yeah,
about,
but any
that, how about that
suggestions?
as a title? Because I'm stuck.
That's a good title. I like that title.
Lost in the desert.
Yeah, Lost in the
And
Desert.
a hand appears.
Mice, Overlord.
Oh, yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking that one, number 6. Or
The stories mice tell themselves. I don't know.
That's
No.
a good one, actually. 'cause we
It
talked a lot about
is my
stories.
story, and you could be the beautiful one. Or-
Okay. Okay. I'm liking that one too.
Like us, share us, give us a 5-star review, and you could be the beautiful one.
Hmm.
I don't like that one.
Oh